one of the most important resources that we can rely on. Young people, students, they are the future. We work with them. They are the ones that are going to deal with many of the problems that we're facing for the longer term. And we have this amazing resource that we can use and mobilize that can be critical to try to make this world better than what we've actually inherited.
Young scientists, researchers should be awake and be aware of the concerns of the local concerns, country. Always respect human rights and equality, act timely to overcome the existing barriers by a scientific and diplomatic approach, not just provocative. This is from 1994. I like this poster very much. It says life or death. It's a political decision. So really we have to change the attitudes of politicians. We have to act like that.
It's important to take into account is that academia has a specific role. It's a role that's different from civil society. For example, academia should not abandon its political potential to foster this agenda and to work with governments and with UNFPA promoting these goals. So
more innovations, more research to be carried out, and a landmark accountability framework being created. This is all great, but that maternal mortality and child mortality go down, yes, to some extent, and we can see that there is a sharper decline, but we didn't reach the goal, of course. We had hoped to have 75% reduction, and it only went to 44. You can say only, but on the other hand, it's unique in history that in 10 years, 15 years, that such a reduction has been obtained. So we should celebrate that, but also not close the book and say, okay, done. We move to another chapter. It is still there, and the rights issues are still very prominent.
The most important thing I think Kenya right now has done is to introduce primary prevention of cervical cancer. So we've joined a number of African countries, and with the help of Gavi and the Ministry of Health, we've actually introduced the vaccine as a national rollout program to young girls. There is the ability for us to treat patients with cervical cancer. So from a perspective where we came from no treatment or no available care to having nationwide vaccination, appropriate care, and appropriate referrals, I think we are kind of, I'm hoping, getting to somewhere with cervical cancer.
The message is clear. We have to listen. And we have to learn from those who are afflicted or those who survive, those who die, unfortunately. We don't count stillbirth well, and we are not yet addressing the burden, the plague of stillbirth. And I too often in my clinical practice, which is in high-income countries, have had to counsel women about babies who have been born dead, and it is one of the toughest things that you will do in clinical medicine, and the joy is gone, and it's been substituted by a tragedy, and we have to change that story.
As scientists, we're not just in our hallways and in our labs. We have a responsibility towards our community to use the skills and the knowledge we have to help solve the problems on the ground. And this is how do you bridge between practice and research.
The lessons learned was that having a clear indicator and having data was important. Data is key to making any agenda move. It's possible to do that in a poor country, it's possible to do that in Africa, but it's possible to do that if leaders want this to happen. Yes, we can, but yes, we can only if we want to.